everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to crochet these lovely little roses. These are 3-layer roses that I'll be demonstrating, and you can really use any type of yarn you'd like. I'm using a lightweight 3 yarn here. It's 100% cotton and it's Patton's Grace yarn. Now, with different hook sizes, you can create different size flowers as well if you're using the same yarn. For example, these 3 here are all made using this lightweight 3 yarn, though I use different hook sizes. So for instance, this tinier one, I use a 2.75mm hook, and this large one, I used a 5mm hook. So it's up to you as to if you want a large or a small flower, but you can feel free to play around with the different yarn weights and the hook sizes. Now for this tutorial, I will be using a 3.75mm hook and this lightweight 3 yarn. You'll also need a pair of scissors, and that's all to begin the project. So let's start. To begin, you are going to start with a magic ring. In the magic ring, you are going to single crochet 5. So here I'm going to add 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 single crochets. That will give me 5 petals as I work on this flower. Now you're going to pull your yarn end tight, pull the ring tight, and you'll see that the ring cinches up like so. Next, you're going to close off this circle by inserting a slip stitch in the very first single crochet, like so. Next, we're going to start on the first round of petals. You're going to chain 1, insert a double crochet into the first stitch, insert 2 more double crochets for a total of 3. Then chain 1, and you're going to slip stitch in the same stitch, like so. That gives you 1 petal. Then you're going to slip stitch into the next petal, or next single crochet, excuse me. Chain 1, insert 3 double crochets. That's 1, 2, and 3 double crochets. Chain 1 and slip stitch into the same stitch. Next, we're going to do the same in the following petal. So slip stitch in the next petal. Chain 1, 3 double crochets. Chain 1 and slip stitch into the same stitch. And we have 1 more single crochet remaining on our magic ring here. So you're going to insert a slip stitch into the last single crochet, chain 1, double crochet 3 times, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1 and slip stitch all in that same stitch. I'm sorry, did I say that was the last petal? We have 1 more because we have 5 petals going on here. My apologies. Okay, again, you're going to repeat that petal stitch by doing a slip stitch, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, and another slip stitch. Okay, Sorry if I caused any confusion there with that last petal. We want to make sure we have 5 petals for each of the single crochets we did for the initial magic rings. Now you'll notice you have this lovely little flower here with the 5 petals. We're going to now continue working into the next layer. So we're going to start with these small petals, and then we're going to work on larger petals behind them. To get behind them, these petals, we're going to first chain 3, then turn your flower backwards like so. This is the back side of the flower. In the first petal, you're going to notice there are stitches on the back, the loops on the back. We're going into the farthest loops. So find the set of stitches that are farthest in the first petal. That would be right here. And I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch through. That creates the first foundation chain for my next layer of petals. We're going to do it again. So chain 3, turn your flower back. Here's the back side. In the second petal, find the farthest loops again. We're going to go into them. Then you're going to do a slip stitch. And we're going to do this around. So chain 3, flip the flower back, find those farthest loops, and slip stitch. Do it until you are, until you've gotten into each of the loops, each of the petals. So you're going to end up with 5 foundation chains. After the very last one, let me go ahead and show you what it looks like on the back now. Here's the back of the flower, and we have these chain foundations set up for our next layer of petals. There are 5 total. Now I'm going to go ahead for this second set of layer of petals. I'm going to insert my hook into the first chain 3 gap that I made. So that's the very first one there. Insert my hook, do a slip stitch, chain 1, and then insert 4 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4 double crochets. And then chain 1 and slip stitch into the same chain gap. Go into the next chain gap now. We finished the first petal, go into the next one, slip stitch, chain 1, insert 4 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 1, and slip stitch. Then go into the next petal again, slip stitch, chain 1, insert 4 double crochets. We're doing this all the way around for each of the petals in the second round. In the second layer, I mean. Now that you've gone all the way around, you'll notice your flower has a full front and back layered petals. We're going to do a third layer now. To do that, you are going to simply chain 4 this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go into, flip your flower backwards. Like earlier, we're going to go into that farthest loop in that first petal, slip stitch, and that's that for the first foundation. Next one, we're going to chain 4 again. Turn your flower back, find that farthest loop in the next petal. Go ahead and slip stitch, chain 4, and you're repeating around like earlier. Once you have finished making the foundation for this third layer of petals on the bottom, we're going to go ahead and start on the petals. So for each of these layer 3 petals, you're going to insert your hook into the chain 4 gap, slip stitch, chain 1, and insert 5 double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 double crochets, chain 1, slip stitch into the same chain gap. Go into the next gap, like so, slip stitch, chain 1, and then insert 4 double crochets. Oh, I'm so sorry. Did I say 4? I meant 5. 5 double crochets for this round. Chain 1 and slip stitch into the same chain gap. Go into the next chain gap, slip stitch, chain 1, 5 double crochets, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets. Then you're going to chain 1 and slip stitch into the same gap. Repeating around to the last one. When you finish all your petals, fasten off, and you're going to weave your yarn end in. As you can see, I have my 5 petals on the last layer from the first, second, and last layers. And you can easily just weave your yarn ends in using a smaller hook, which I like to do. If I can avoid using a yarn needle, I try to do that. Terrible at yarning or threading yarn needles even. You can imagine how tough it is for me to yarn normal needles. All right. So with those ends pulled in, let me just pull this closer. And you can go ahead and use these yarn ends to sew the flower down onto your project. And there you have it. Here is the layered rose. As you can see, it's quick and easy to do. You can get it all done in one piece, no attaching or sewing at all. And it makes a lovely little embellishment for any crochet project like hats, blankets, your amigurumi dolls, headbands, etc. And they can even make cute little appliques if you want to put them on greeting cards or gift boxes. Now, hi everyone, today I'll be showing you how to crochet this pretty little leaf. It's a wonderful little applique that you can make to add onto your crochet projects. I happen to be using it for a lovely little floral headband I'm making for my daughter. And if you'd like to make it too, feel free to check out my description for the links to the pattern. Now, what you will need is some yarn and any size hook that would be suitable for the yarn. For reference, I'm using a lightweight 3 yarn. It's Patton's Grace and it's 100% cotton. And with this yarn, I'm using a 4mm crochet hook. You'll also need a pair of scissors, and that's that. Let's get started. To begin here, we're simply going to start with 8 chains. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then in the second chain from the hook, so here's the first one, there's the second one. I'm going to put my hook in there and make a slip stitch. So pull through and pull through. And then in the next chain, I'm going to single crochet. In the next chain, half double crochet. In the next chain, a double crochet. In the next one, a triple crochet. In the next, another triple crochet. And in the last, I'm going to do a double crochet, a double crochet in the same stitch, and a half double crochet in the same stitch. So that all goes into the same chain. Now what we're going to do is work on the other side of the chain. So we've done half of the leaf so far. Now we're going to turn our piece and work in the next side. We're basically going to reverse the directions. You're going to insert your hook into the very first chain, and you're going to do a half double crochet, then a double crochet, and then a double crochet. Triple crochet in the next 2 chains. Double crochet in the next chain. Half double crochet in the next chain. Single crochet. And a slip stitch in the very last chain in this row. When you are done with that, you are simply going to fasten off. Weave in the ends. You can use a yarn needle to weave in, or I choose to use a smaller hook just for convenience. And basically you could just go ahead and I like to just weave it through the stem area here. And as you can see, you have your nice little leaf done. You can go ahead and make this with different colors of yarn, different weights of yarn, and use different sized hooks to make this either larger or smaller. All right, and here's a quick look at the flower headband that I am making for my daughter. I'm choosing to add some of these lovely little white leaf details to the headband, and you can go ahead and do that as well, or check out my blog post for different examples of how you can use this in different projects. All right, thank you so much for watching and hope you have a wonderful time crafting. Bye now.